Hello everyone and welcome to Midlife Crisis, the show where I talk about every major DC crossover event in chronological order. This week we are taking a look at the miniseries Salvation Run, written by Bill Willingham with art by Sean Chen and Walden Wong. This miniseries spins directly out of Countdown to Final Crisis. The only backstory you need for this series is that the rogues of the Flash all joined together and ambushed Bart Allen, who was the current Flash, and they killed him. Two of the rogue members decided to split off from the rest, Pied Piper and the Trickster, and they became fugitives wanted for murder. While they were on the run, they discovered a conspiracy around villains vanishing mysteriously. They soon discovered that the Suicide Squad was being tasked by a mysterious person to go around and grab supervillains and take them to a place only known as Salvation. We don't know what Salvation is, we just know that that's where the villains are apparently being sent. So Pied Piper and Trickster followed the Suicide Squad in hopes of finding Salvation so that they can free the villains and get rewarded for it. What is Salvation? What will happen when Pied Piper and Trickster get there? Well, we're about to find out. The story begins with Rick Flag and Amanda Waller talking about Salvation and what they've been doing with all the villains. They've been ordered by somebody higher up to grab all the villains and send them to another planet to start their own government or something, because Earth just doesn't want to deal with them anymore. After all the terrible things that they've done, like Black Adam destroying an entire country, the Rogues all coming together and killing the Flash, the Amazons attacking America for no reason other than to just be evil. The book almost tricks you into thinking that Waller has a conscience, because she asks Rick, "Do you think what we're doing is the right thing?" And Rick answers her, like, "Yes, of course I do. These villains all suck, let's get rid of them." And Waller's like, "Great, I was just making sure you were on the same level as me." And I'm like, for a second there I thought you had a conscience, Amanda, but it turns out, no, you've always been on their side when it comes to this kind of stuff. We then visit Salvation, where we get to see some of the rogues that are on the planet: Heatwave, Mirror Master, Abracadabra, Weather Wizard, and Captain Cold. They've been surviving on the planet for a while now, and they're looking for a place called Safe Zone, which apparently exists. While they are exploring the planet, they get attacked by some of the mysterious creatures that live on the planet. And the first thing you'll notice is that some of them are of humanoid DNA, while others seem to be robotic in a way, which makes me believe that these creatures might not have been born on the planet and might have been created by someone or something else. At least that's my theory going into this. They fight against these creatures, and Captain Cold struggles a little against one of the larger ones, so Heatwave decides to help him. Abracadabra tries to help as well, but he just gets punched away, and Cold and Heatwave manage to defeat this gorilla-like creature. That's when Weather Wizard shows that he is the most powerful rogue by blowing everything away with torrential winds. He's extremely overpowered. Having the power to control the weather is one of the most overpowered abilities you can have in a comic book. Turns out Abracadabra was hurt pretty badly by that creature and has a broken arm now, so they're gonna have to try and find medical supplies or something to help him. Especially since his magic isn't real, it's just technology, so he can't just fix his own injuries. They make a campfire and start getting into a bit of an argument about whether or not this safe zone even exists. And Kadabra believes it exists because it's revealed earlier that they came across a race of otter-like aliens who told Kadabra about this safe zone because they were looking for it as well. And so he believes them that it's real. A massive boom sound suddenly catches them off guard. They realize that it must be the sound of a boom tube, and that must be how they're teleporting villains to this planet. So they think a new group of survivors have just arrived. So Some of them want to go over and meet these survivors just in case they have supplies or people that can help them, while the others just want to stick to themselves and not bother. And that's when Heatwave brings up the fact that there might be women there, and that's enough to make them go, you know what? He's got a point. There might be women there. That's a good reason to go and check things out. We get another flashback where it's revealed that none of the villains were given supplies when they were sent to this planet, because Checkmate did a scan of the planet and deduced that there's enough stuff on it to survive, so they just didn't bother giving anybody anything and just said, figure it out yourself. And it's at this moment that the rogues then get attacked by even more creatures, because this planet is relentless and you can't let your guard down for a second. The Joker wakes up and is upset with the fact that he's no longer in Gotham City. He's like, I'm not dressed for a situation like this. Turns around to find all of these obscure villains standing behind him. Probably the most well-known ones here are Killer Croc and Clayface. Some people might know some of the other ones like Simon or Mr. Freeze. I mean, he's pretty well known. I think that's supposed to be Mongol in the back. These new villains that have arrived are pretty naive about the situation that they're in, believing that it's not as bad as it really is, and that if they just stay in this place where it seems to be safe, they should be fine. And that's when the rogues show up and are like, that's not the case. If you stay here, you will die, because the creatures of this planet will hunt you down and kill you no matter where you are. But the villains don't listen to them, and Gerda decides to argue back like, there's nothing on this planet that can kill me because I'm one tough nut. And that's when he gets sucked into the ground by something called a cave devourer. So Weather Wizard strikes Gerda with lightning, which shouldn't hurt him, in an attempt to help him get out of the ground. But he gets sucked into it, and so Heatwave jumps in after him. Huge eruption of fire comes out of the hole. Heatwave says that there's some cave devourers that have been roasted, so they can have that for dinner later. And that Gerda's fine, he's just being a little crybaby down below. So the other villains are finally convinced to join the rogues, and it's revealed that two mysterious figures are watching them, and it's likely that these ones are behind the creatures that inhabit this planet. And if I had to make a guess as to who this is, just going off of these silhouettes, it seems pretty obvious that one of them may be Darkseid, and the other one is Desard, so Apocalypse is involved in this in some way. A new group of villains arrive on Salvation, and are narrated by Metallo, who talks about his feelings on their current predicament, and the decisions that they decide to make. It's kind of interesting because he's mostly robotic now, so at this point, if all of them die, there's a good chance that he's just going to be living on this planet alone forever. This group of villains gets into a fight with the creatures on the planet, and during the fight, one of the villains, Hellhound, gets sliced open. Some of the villains want to leave him behind, but two of the villains, whose names are Bonnie Hoffman and Carmen Lino, otherwise known as the Body Doubles, they don't want to leave Hellhound behind, and they tell everyone to patch him up and bring him with them, so they do. And Hellhound starts to get delirious because he's losing a lot of blood. His guts are literally hanging out of his body. As they're walking along, they hear a rustle in the nearby grass, and they see a bunch of monsters, and it's revealed that the Body Doubles wanted to bring Hellhound along so that they could use him as bait, so they throw him to these lion crocodile creatures, and Hellhound gets eaten by them while the rest make their escape. So Metallo notes that the Body Doubles really are as cold-hearted as the rest of them are, but that it was a good plan either way. Meanwhile, the other villains have started building a little society together. One character called Kid Carnival walks up to the Joker and is like, hey, I'm your biggest fan. I always think, oh, what would the Joker do? And the Joker's like, sorry kid, I'm not interested in having a sidekick. And Kid Carnival's like, that's not what I want. What I want to do is I want to kill you, skin you, and wear you like a costume, because that's something that you would do, and I want to beat you at your own game. And Joker's like, yeah, have fun with that. Nobody's succeeded. Many have tried. Why don't you clear up your acne first? The character Simon stands in front of all the villains and gives them a massive speech saying, "Because I'm so smart, I know that there's no way to escape from this planet. So what we should do is we should come together and create a society. We should do what they sent us here to do. Create our own government, etc. And all the women can bear our children." And the women start getting really mad at him. It's like, what, do you want us to just be baby factories? Simon is like, well, if you put it that way, yes, but you'll be serving us a great gratitude and we'll give you the best food and defend your lives. The best treatment possible. And that's when the Joker is like, hey, and people accuse me of being a whack job. Here's a free lesson, kiddies. Simon's like, hey, what are you... Hal, stop that. And Joker just smashes him in the head with a rock and beats him to death with it. Lose the idiots as soon as possible. Immediately divest yourself of all losers, dreamers, wishful thinkers, and happy huggers. They'll only drag you down. They simply aren't practical, and survival is at its essence a most practical business. It's pretty gross and brutal. And he's like, any questions? No? Then with this unattractive but necessary business concluded, will someone please find a well-cooked steak of whatever it is we've killed lately? And everyone's just like, oh, yeah, yes, Joker, sir, let's go. I don't get why everyone's afraid of the Joker. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, he's just a psychopath. He has no powers. I know eventually it would be established that he does have more strength than the average human. I don't like that. I think it's stupid. This moment at this time, I'm pretty sure the Joker is still just a regular dude. Just crazy. So, I can understand some of the villains who don't have powers being afraid of him, but the ones that have weapons and the ability to shoot beams and things like that, like, they can just kill the Joker easily. Why are they afraid of him? I guess he just has plot armor. Back on Earth, the Suicide Squad arrive with the last few villains that they're sending to salvation, which includes Lex Luthor, Blockbuster, and Catwoman. So they put them in the teleporter. Chemo is there as well. They put them in the teleporter, and Bronze Tiger is told to activate it, and Deadshot's just like, hey, what are you doing? We're still in here. You know, me, Bane, and Plastique is still in here. And Rick is like, yeah, you've done your job, and you're no longer a part of the Suicide Squad. We're sending you to the planet as well. Deadshot's like, what? I'm gonna kill you. And Rick Flag's like, yeah, that's exactly why we're sending you, because you're a psychopath. And Deadshot's like, I'm gonna find a way to escape from salvation, and when I do, I will hunt you down, and I will kill you, Rick Flag. So they activate the machine, the villains get teleported to salvation. They happen to land exactly where all of the other villains are. Lex Luthor wakes up and is like, hello everyone, who's the leader? Oh man, I hope it's not that guy, and he points at Simon. Well, if he's not the leader anymore, then I'd like to appoint myself. And the other villains are like, hey, what makes you think you can just come in here and take over? Lex Luthor explains that the reason why they need a man like him is because he's willing to do what needs to be done in order to get off the planet. Because right now, these villains are trying to start a new life here. Lex Luthor's like, how about we don't do that? How about we find a way to get off the planet and get our revenge? How about we do what Americans are best at, which is getting what we want? When we wanted trains, what did we do? We built tracks and trains, made it ourselves. What do we want right now? We want a boom tube to get off this planet, so let's make one. Damn right we will, because that, my friends, is the American way. Now, who wants to join me in going home and making those bastards pay for their temerity and sending us here? We do! Then, my friends, I suggest we roll up our sleeves and get to work. This next issue is written by Lila Sturgis. It begins with Scandal Savage fighting the character Deathbolt because apparently he tried to grab her ass. So she's getting a payback. But the fight between them is broken up by Catman. And then Lex Luthor comes in and is like, hello, my friends. So Dr. Savannah and I and some of the other intelligent villains have come together and we figured out a way to get off this planet. But we're not gonna tell you how. You just have to trust me, and if you trust me, then you'll get rewarded for it. Any good engineers, come to me, I need your help. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you what we're doing. You know, and you don't often find yourself agreeing with the Joker in certain situations or seeing his point of view, but he obviously has a problem with the fact that Lex Luthor won't tell them what the plan is, because it is suspicious, so you can understand that the Joker would be upset about that. The way he goes about things is a little bit too far, but the fact he's upset about this is understandable. It's like, why should we listen to you if you're not going to tell us what you're even doing? And that's when more of the alien creatures on the planet start erupting out of the ground and attacking them. This weird Sarlacc pit-looking monster and its tentacles start attacking everyone. So Joker and Gorilla Grodd team up and trick the monster into biting into Chemo, and Chemo's radioactive energy goes into the monster and kills it from the inside out. I don't know why Gorilla Grodd would ever team up with the Joker. He is another one of those villains who is quite intelligent, and I feel anyone with any amount of intelligence would decide that teaming up the Joker is a bad idea regardless of the situation. But Joker uses this as an opportunity to get more people on his side, being like, hey, who saved all your asses? It was me and Gorilla Grodd. Lex Luthor starts getting all the villains to begin building a camp, and they take note that this blockbuster is one that they've never seen before. Lex Luthor's like, that's not the blockbuster I made, so I should keep my tabs on that guy. Another villain named Iron Cross gets mad at some of the other villains for not doing anything, for not helping them build stuff. This other character called Iback starts ordering everybody to start helping them, and Mammoth, another character, is like, hey, stop ordering us around. That Kid Carnival character is like, yeah, stop ordering me around or I'll cut your face off and wear it. And Iback just smacks him in the face. That's when a fight breaks out, but Lex Luthor breaks up the fight, and Iron Cross goes to grab the Joker, because he's like, no more outbursts from you, and the Joker draws a gun on him. It's like, now then, I'm here to announce a change of management. My good friend Gorilla Grodd and I have decided to put on a mutiny. And it starts, and he shoots Iron Cross now. And a massive fight breaks out between everyone, which is not a great situation. The Joker somehow is really competent at fighting. There's a guy with a bow and arrow who could possibly be Merlin, but I think it's just supposed to be some other archer. Joker is able to dodge his bow and arrows and then get up to him and grab him and put him in a vulnerable position. Like, how does he do that? Gorilla Grodd then breaks up the fight himself, because he's like, this isn't helping anybody. And by breaking up the fight, he just rushes through everyone and sends them flying. It's pretty funny. You see a shot of Deadshot just like, ah! The Joker decides that he's had enough of Lex Luthor's ruling and tells everyone who wants to be on his side to come with him. They're gonna head off and find a abandoned card factory or something to live in and live by their own rules and not Luthor's. And so half the villains go with the Joker while the other half stay with Lex. We see Weather Wizard as a part of Joker's group, but I can't see any of the other rogues, so it makes me think that some of the rogues sided with Joker while the others sided with Luthor, and that might lead to something interesting later. The rogues haven't really had much of a role in the last couple of issues. I thought they were going to be the main characters, but it turns out that Joker and Luthor are more of the main characters within this series. I'm also curious to see what happens to that other group of villains that we saw in issue 2, and what happens with them, because that was clearly setting up another storyline. After Joker's group leaves, Lex reveals that the mutiny was planned, that he told Iron Cross to touch the Joker because he knew that the Joker would probably do something stupid and cause a fight, and that's exactly what he wanted. Savannah's like, that's stupid though, we lost everything, we have to rebuild everything again. Lex is like, that's right, Savannah, and we have the Joker to blame for that. A common enemy, someone to unite against. Don't ever question my judgment again, Savannah. It isn't healthy for you. Meanwhile, the suspicious-looking blockbuster heads off into the woods on his own, and it's revealed that this blockbuster is actually Martian Manhunter in disguise. He's come to the planet to make sure that sending the villains here was actually a good idea, and to try and keep them in line, investigate the whole situation. As an insider. Martian Manhunter, status report. The situation here is out of control. While Martian Manhunter sends reports to Batman, Catwoman sees him, which is pretty interesting. Meanwhile, Deadshot and Bane are hunting down velociraptor-like creatures, killing them for food, and apparently they've made a bet where Deadshot would be able to kill them without using his guns, but he fails to do so, and so now he owes Bane a steak. I like it when villains are just having fun interactions like this, like hunting together and having bets with each other and stuff. They head back to the camp with their meat, and the sisters don't like them at all because they were former Suicide Squad members and they loaded them into the teleporter. So they want to kill Deadshot and Bane. But Lex Luthor comes in and is like, hey, you want to kill them just because they were members of the Suicide Squad? Then you're going to have to kill like 90% of us because we've all been members of the Suicide Squad at some point. What we need to do is we need to let bygones be bygones and keep those things in the past and move on. Lex then tells Deadshot and Bane that he wants to pay them to be his bodyguards, that they will get a cool, nice million after they get back to Earth. Another character named Lady Vic walks up to Martian Manhunter, who is disguised as Blockbuster, and Lady Vic worked for the real Blockbuster. So she's like, I know Blockbuster really well and you're not him. And he turns to her and says, things change, Lady Vic. That they do, sir. That they do indeed. So she's getting a little bit suspicious of him. Deathbolt orders Joker to go and get food because they have nothing to eat. And Kid Carnival almost kills Deathbolt after Deathbolt tries to attack the Joker. And he is set free though. He doesn't end up killing Deathbolt. And Kid Carnival is like, yeah, I came to your rescue, sir, because I want your skin to be smooth and soft and perfectly unblemished when I slice it away from your body one day. I'll even let you watch if you can manage to remain conscious. And Joker's like, ugh, where do you kids get these ideas from? It's a little bit far. Grodd then comes in and tells Deathbolt that if he wants food, he can go hunt it for himself, and that they will not allow any parasites within their camp. So he gives Deathbolt a spear and sends him on his way. He then looks at Joker's chair and is like, oh, nice chair. So it's believed that Grodd is thinking about possibly betraying Joker and taking over. And that's when Munjo, Marla, and Brain come in, and they want to take Grodd aside and have a little bit of a conversation with him. And what Marla wants is for Grodd and him to join forces and take over the camp, because they are both intelligent gorillas and they have that in common, and so they should help each other. Gorilla Grodd just laughs in his face and is like, you are a science experiment, a freak. I come from Gorilla City. I'm a proud child of theirs, and I would never team up with a monster like you. So Monjo Mala fights him, punches him in the face, and the two start fighting. Gorilla Grodd very easily overpowers Monjo Mala and starts beating the crap out of him. But Mala pulls out his gun and shoots Grodd in the chest, which infuriates him enough to punch Marla in the chest and then go to kill him, and Brain begs Grodd not to kill him because the Brain and Monjo Mala are in love with each other. They are a couple. And so Grodd instead grabs Brain and is like, what does it humans say? You hurt the ones you love most. And he uses Brain to beat Monjo Mala to death. It's so messed up. Just smashing him over his head so many times until Brain smashes to pieces and his brain goes flying onto the floor. Monjo Mala lies dying next to Brain's brain. It's like, I have failed you, but I die happy, my love. For now, I know we can finally be together forever. And then they die. It's really sad. I never thought I would ever have a moment where I would be so sad over these two characters. But yeah, reading this, it was kind of depressing. And then the Joker comes in and proves to Gorilla Grodd that he's a dumbass because he teamed up with the Joker, because the Joker immediately betrays him. He's like, look, that being said, do you know what I hate? Sharing. And then he kicks Gorilla Grodd in the chest and sends him falling off of the cliff. It is then revealed that Vandal Savage has taken a group of the women with him because he believes that Lex Luthor and Joker's teams are going to end badly regardless. They are doomed to fall to chaos. And that while they are destroying themselves, he and the women are going to actually make real progress because he's been studying the planet and he's found a part of the planet that is very different to the rest of it. He's found the fabled safe zone. He introduces the women to the safe zone. This, ladies, is where we will build paradise. I'm a little disappointed that that separate group I was talking about that was made up of Metallo and the sisters and Hellhound, that didn't go anywhere. I thought that was going to be a little side story that was going on where they were on their own while everyone else was splitting into separate groups, because I thought that that's what it was setting up, but it turns out they just reunited with everybody off panel. The next issue switches artists to Joe Bennett and Bellardino Bravo. Joker's group decides to attack Luthor's group as a war breaks out between the two of them, because after kicking Gorilla Grodd off the cliff, Joker's group wanted food and supplies, and so they've decided to raid Luthor's group and steal all of their food and supplies. So Luthor orders all of his villains to fight the Jokers, and the battle wages between them with villains all fighting each other, chaos just erupting everywhere. I do notice in this issue that Two-Face is on Salvation. Now, in Countdown to Final Crisis, Two-Face was saved by Piper and Trickster from going to Salvation. A couple of guards were taking him there, and they saved him. So I don't get why he's here. Maybe some more guards came and took him anyway. He did flip a coin to decide whether or not he was going to run away with Trickster and Piper, and it landed on the wrong side, so he decided to stay. So I would assume that he just got brought here anyway. And when I thought about that, I realized Piper and Trickster aren't in this book at all yet, which makes little sense to me because it was set up in Final Crisis, like Countdown to Final Crisis, that they would be the main characters of this miniseries because their goal is to go to Salvation and save all the villains. So unless they show up at the end, they're not in this. So it's like, why did they set it up and then not do it? Was there no communication? Lex Luthor ends up at gunpoint by the Joker, while the Joker ends up at gunpoint by Deadshot. And it's like, if you pull that trigger, I'll pull the trigger and kill you. Meanwhile, Vandal Savage and his group of women are in paradise. One of these women is Lady Flash, aka Christina. If you've been watching my Flash videos since I started doing those, you'd very well know who she is. She was originally a member of a group called the Blue Trinity, which later renamed themselves the Red Trinity. They became allies of the Flash. She eventually created a new identity for herself called Lady Flash. Originally she worked for Vandal Savage, but she became a hero and then was corrupted by Savitar and became Lady Savitar. And from then on, she's been depicted as this psychopath villainess, which I was never a fan of. This miniseries reestablishes that she longs to say goodbye to her villainous past and move on and just be Christina. It's like the idea of a hopeful future for this character does exist. And it's interesting because we get to see the relationship between her and Vandal Savage again, because it hasn't been touched upon since those early issues of The Flash. They haven't interacted at all. So it's interesting to see them interact again. And at first, you get this vibe that Vandal Savage may be a nice guy and is actually looking out for these women and wants the best for them. And the way he talks to Christina, it's as if he's actually interested in her and wants her to be his partner and to have his children and stuff like that. But then it turns out that no, Vandal Savage is a freak and he wants all of the women to bear his children, and that the paradise isn't a paradise for them, it's a paradise for him, and that they will essentially be his slaves, which is real messed up. And I feel bad for Christina because she gets depressed over this. She's like, I thought you were actually opening up to me, but it turns out that you're still a monster. And so I hope that Savage gets what's coming to him. Catwoman returns to the camp where she finds Luthor and Joker fighting each other and at gunpoint. And when she comes in, they believe that she's the traitor, that she's working with Batman because she's had a history of working with him. And what the Joker wants is he just wants Luthor's supplies and stuff. So he's like, just give me the supplies, give us what we want, and we'll leave. And I will leave you alive because you're the only one that can get me off of this planet. So once you get me off of this planet, then I don't care what happens to you. They start arguing over what to do with Catwoman because they believe that she's a traitor. And Catwoman manages to convince them that she's not the traitor because she reveals that Blockbuster is actually Martian Manhunter. And Martian Manhunter willingly reveals himself and says, yes, I was sent here by Batman to see what was happening on this planet, and what is happening isn't what the government wanted to happen. There wasn't supposed to be creatures on this planet that were trying to kill you, and we weren't expecting you to try and kill each other. We were expecting you to be able to live here peacefully. But the villains are stupid and they don't listen to him and they try to kill him. They all fight Martian Manhunter, and that's when Heatwave is like, we can't kill Martian Manhunter unless we use fire. But obviously if we use fire while everyone's around, people will get hurt and die. So can you get them all away from Martian Manhunter, and then all the fire guys can attack him at the same time and take him down. So Abracadabra uses his powers to get everyone away from Martian Manhunter, and then all of the fire villains shoot Martian Manhunter at the same time with their flames, not killing him, but severely hurting him. And this is enough of a reason for Lex Luthor to rally the villains together even more, because he says that if we can take down Martian Manhunter, then we can do anything. And then it's revealed that the ones that were behind this entire thing, which is Salvation, was Desaad and one of his right-hand men, Unctious. So what they were doing was they've created this planet and they've sent the villains there so that they can train new parademons. So they're gonna send the parademons to the planet that the villains are on, and whichever ones survive will be the new parademons for their army. Gerda creates a cage to contain Martian Manhunter, and Heatwave heats it up. And the other villains decide what to do with Manhunter. Some of them want to eat him, the other ones say, don't eat him, we're not gonna kill him. We already killed the Flash, and see where that got us. The rest of the JLA don't like that, they're not very fond of it. Did you see what happened? The whole mind-wiping situation with Dr. Light? That didn't end very well for those villains. Lex Luthor orders them to all step away from Martian Manhunter and not lay a finger on him because they could need him in the future, but if Martian Manhunter escapes, then Heatwave is free to kill him. It's revealed that two characters, Lightning and Thunder, are on Salvation. They used to be villains, but they became allies of the Teen Titans and then have gone back to being villains again. But it's shown here that they still have good hearts. They bring food to Martian Manhunter in order to help him, and they say that they need to get him out and save him. But Bane hears them and beats the crap out of them. They try to attack him. He's like, oh, that lightning hurt a little bit. But they decide not to kill them because Luthor believes that he might have use of them. Joker gets all up in Lex Luthor's face again because they've decided to reluctantly work together now, and Joker just doesn't like how Luthor does things, and that just pisses Luthor off because the Joker isn't doing anything. And so Luthor is like, just an intuition, but I've learned that my intuitions are usually on the mark. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you'd had an intuition. That clearly changes everything. Will you please shut up? You do nothing. You contribute nothing. As far as I can tell, all you are capable of doing is mincing around like a hopped-up birthday clown and wasting my time. So shut up and find something, anything useful to do, or get the hell out of my face. Joker's like, close your eyes, little ones. This is about to get ugly. And he smacks Lex in the face. Meanwhile, Vandal Savage is brainwashing the women that he's with and manipulating them into thinking that each of them is going to be his queen, when in reality none of them are going to be his queen, or they all will at the same time. It's really bad. Like, he's using this character called Phobia to use her hallucinations to help brainwash the other women, while he's also manipulating Phobia. And then Cheetah appears, and she believes that Savage is brainwashing the women and that he's gonna be with her. So yeah, everyone's falling for his tricks. Lex Luthor and Joker decide to settle things man to man in a hand-to-hand fight. They begin fighting each other, getting pretty dirty. Lex elbows him in the face, Joker kicks Lex in the face. Lex is like, you are just trying to hurt me. I'm trying to put you down, Joker. And he just rushes into him and smacks him in the chest. Joker tells Lex that he loves pain. It doesn't matter how many times Lex punches him, Joker is going to enjoy it, because when he fell into that vat of chemicals, his skin has felt like it's on fire since, and it keeps him alive. And Lex is like, that's poetic, Joker. You should put that into iambic pentameter and sell it to the Atlantic Monthly. Anyway, I don't care about hurting you. All I care about is putting you down. He kicks Joker in the leg and grabs him by his collar. He's like, if you know what's good for you, you'll stay down. I admire your willingness to do violence, Lex, but you have no problem doing it when you have to. But I'm different, Lex. I do violence because it's fun. And he punches Lex in the face. You're good at your job, Lex, but me? I love my job. And he kicks Lex in the head, and it looks like Joker is going to defeat Lex as he grabs Lex by the cuff and goes to punch him again. But then a massive boom sound happens, and followed by more boom sounds as boom tubes begin opening all over the planet, because the parademons have been sent to salvation. So they all appear, and Lex and the Joker tell all of the villains to get together because the parademons have come and that they're gonna have to fight them. And so the villains all unite. They also decide that they need to take Martian Manhunter to safety as well. And the parademons swarm in and the villains fight back against them. There's a couple of fun interactions between the villains and the parademons. One is the Joker talking to one of them and being like, hey, look at me, I'm Easy Pickings. Enchanting little pea shooter you got there. What do you say we trade guns, make it more interesting? There's one thing I should mention though. In the interest of fair play, that gun wasn't loaded. All out of bullets, I'm afraid. Have a nice day. And then he kills the parademon. They're trying to keep the parademons at bay so they can finish the boom tube that Lex Luthor is building, but more creatures start erupting out of the ground, and so they have to fight those too, the creatures of the planet. That's when Luthor is notified of the fact that there is a place called Paradise by Catwoman, and so she decides to take them to Paradise using Warp's portals. Meanwhile, in Paradise, the women have banded together against Vandal Savage because they've realized what he's doing and how he's trying to manipulate them. And they're like, do you think we're stupid, Vandal? And Vandal's like, no, I just thought it would take you another week to figure this out. So they all start fighting Vandal, and before they can rip him limb from limb, Lex and the rest of the villains arrive and tell Vandal that they learnt of Paradise and that they just want to get off of this planet. And so Vandal reluctantly agrees to help them finish building the boom tube so they can get off the planet. Warp tries bringing the device through his portal, which he succeeds in doing, and then Lex tells him to go in and get Martian Manhunter, but Warp says that he can't because his portals aren't working anymore. He's run out of energy. While they are building the boom tube, Lex Luthor is revealed to have been communicating with Gorilla Grodd for a little while now, as it's revealed that Grodd is still alive, and Lex asks Grodd to lend him his intelligence to help finish building the boom tube, and Grodd is like, yes, I will help you, but first, I've got one thing that I need to do. Where is the Joker? And so he goes to fight the Joker and kill him. It's like, you tried to kill Grodd. How was I to know I could push you over a cliff by kicking you? It didn't seem physically possible. It's like, now's not the time, Grodd. We got minutes until we're overrun by parademons. We need as many guns blazing as we can get. And Grodd is like, well, the Joker's only got one gun, so he can do without an arm. And he tries to rip Joker's arm off, but a beam blasts at them because the parademons have arrived. So the villains start fighting against the parademons, and while they are fighting, Warp just randomly decides that he has somewhere to be. He's like, sorry guys, I gotta go somewhere, and he heads off. While the parademons are attacking, Lex Luthor reveals that the boom tube has been finished. It's like, as soon as the field stabilizes, you can all go through. Double file, quickly and efficiently. Anyone who pushes will be shot and left for dead. Understood? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the way home. And they're all like, yeah, you did it, Luthor. And Dr. Sivana is like, I helped you know, you couldn't have done it without me. And Lex just ignores him. He's like, I've got some business to deal with. And he heads inside the back of the boom tube device. And it's revealed that some of the villains, including Warp and Thunder and Lightning, are being used to power the machine. And that they will die so that the other villains can go back to the planet. Because the machine will explode once it's been powered up. He tells them that they're going to have a noble sacrifice. And Lightning's like, noble sacrifice? Gorilla Grodd dragged us in here with his mind. We had no choice, you coward. Yes, we dragged you off in secret. And at this very moment, he's shielding your thoughts from everyone else here. I can't have anyone derailing my efforts with misplaced sympathy for you. We need the extra power to escape. You have the power we need. Simple economics, the law of supply and demand. You're a monster. A monster? Me? I'm not the one who rounded us up like stray dogs and dumped us here on this hellhole. That was the heroes. They decided that they could pass summary judgment on all of us. They decided they could play judge, jury, and executioner, as if we deserved less than common hoodlums simply because our horizons are wider. I did what had to be done. I made the hard choices that no one else was willing to make. I saved as many of us as I could. Do you understand? They're not the heroes. I'm the hero. I am. And then he leaves. And it's just one of those moments that makes me really like Luthor as a villain, where he truly believes that he is the good guy and that he is the hero, and that he just does the things that no one else is willing to do, that he believes needs to be done. As they are leaving through the boom tube, Kid Carney kisses Joker's ass again, and Joker turns to him and is like, "As for you, Carnival, my young admirer, nobody likes a copycat." He smacks him in the face. Killer Croc's like, "Don't sweat it, kid. You're just not ready for the big leagues yet." Lex Luthor tells Deadshot to go on ahead of him because he wants to speak with the parademons a bit before he leaves. And he turns to them and he says, "Listen up, you bastards. I just wanted to say one thing before I kiss this place goodbye." And they all start shooting at him. "I win. Do you hear me? I beat you. All of you. You never stood a chance against me. But just to be kind, I left you a consolation prize. Come on over and I'll show it to you. It'll be ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as he enters the portal, the device explodes, killing all of the parademons. And so debris from the parademons begins raining over the entire planet, and we see all of the death and destruction that has happened throughout this entire miniseries. We see Munjor, Mala, and Brain being eaten by the crocodile lion creatures. We see some bodies of some of the other villains that were killed earlier in the series. And then we see that Martian Manhunter is still in the cage on the planet, trapped, surrounded by all of this debris and death. And Lex Luthor gives a little speech. "Call us bad guys, call us villains, call us whatever you like. though I prefer anti-heroes myself. We may not be the ones you want marrying your daughter, but we have this to say for ourselves. When everything goes to hell, we are the ones, maybe the only ones, that are certain to survive. Why, you ask? Because unlike the good guys, we're willing to do whatever it takes to survive. Honestly, I'd love nothing more than to put the whole thing out of my mind. Those weeks we spent trapped on that miserable hellhole of a planet, but it keeps coming back to me. The death and the tension and the waiting. So I let those thoughts run their course, and I experience it all over again for a few minutes like it's still happening. And then I get on with my life. Those in my profession don't get a lot of time for reflection. We're always moving forward, always on to the next thing. We have to. It's what we know. We do what we have to do. We fight. And we survive. The end. And so that was Salvation Run. Overall, I found this miniseries to be pretty good. This might be my favorite of all the miniseries that I've read so far. I think this one's really good. And it's also pretty standalone, which is a good thing in hindsight, but if you are reading Countdown to Final Crisis, it is disappointing that it's standalone, because Pied Piper and the Trickster don't appear in this book at all, and that's really disappointing. Because it's like, what was the point of making them seem so important to this plot line when it's gonna get entirely resolved without them anyway? I'm curious to see what happens in Countdown to Final Crisis now, once I get back to that, because I want to see how it deals with this, with the outcome of this, and the fact that Trickster and Piper had nothing to do with it. Is it just gonna be thrown away as a bit of a joke where Trickster and Piper get to the planet and it's already over? They're like, hey, where is everybody? Like, is it going to be one of those things? Because honestly, I wouldn't hate that. I think that would be pretty funny. I think that would make up for the disappointment of them not actually being in the miniseries. Yeah, I would definitely recommend reading this series. I think it's great. I think it's a great... It's essentially DC's version of Secret War from Marvel Comics, except it's only villains, and so it's interesting seeing all the villains interact with each other and see what happens when they come to heads with each other. Like, if you've ever wanted to see a story where the Joker and Lex Luthor fight one another, this is probably the best story that you're going to find. Like, a lot of people enjoy stories where they team up, but I think I enjoy stories where they are against each other more, because it's interesting to see a psychopath or two psychopaths face each other, but one of them believes that he is the sane one and is doing all the right things, while the other one just enjoys being a psychopath, you know? So that's going to be it for this week, and next week we are going to be talking about the next tie-in miniseries to Countdown to Final Crisis, which is The Search for Ray Palmer, a miniseries that follows Donna Troy, Jason Todd, and Kyle Rayner as they travel through the multiverse searching for Ray Palmer, who has gone missing. So look forward to that next week. I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and have a good one.